You got to follow up. Many of us just don't do it. Today, we're going to talk about one thing you can do to make sure your following up actually works with your prospect. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here today. And on this episode, I'm bringing on the one and only Corrie George. Now, Corrie runs he worked with Grant Cardone, running the Canada franchise a while back. And then also Corrie he has his own sales education organization, working with some large brands in North America, as well as working right now has a security company in Canada. And Corrie's going to talk us through a process that he has, 4 points when it comes to doing following up and why we're supposed to do it and how we make sure we do it. You're going to love it. Before I dive into that, though, I want you to be able to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. It's the Sales Evangelist. Obviously, you're listening to it. If you're a first-time listener, if you've been listening for a while, please take this link, share it with one other person that could benefit from it. As we dive into the episode today, listen to the things that Corrie shares, the 4 steps, the 4 different ways of following up. And he gives 4 avenues. It's entertainment, education, information, and service. Now, that's not the exact order, but he'll guide us through the order. And it's so good. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. Corrie, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Donald. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
I'm looking forward to this conversation about following up because I think this is really underrated. I think many of us in the sales arena feel, especially new sellers, younger salespeople, those not experienced, feel that if they are doing multiple follow-ups, they're going to bother the individual when that could be far from the truth. So I'm excited to get your insights today. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser. You had some experience with Grant Cardone, but you're doing some major stuff right now. You mind telling us that just for 1 minute?
Yeah, so I run 2 companies. So previously, I was the president for Grant Cardone Canada. I launched his first franchise. We were their number 1 licensed partner for 6 years straight. At the time, we did 5.2 or 5.3 million at our peak of selling the sales training. We were a small team, but second place was $600,000. So first place 5.2 or 5.3 million. Second place $600K. Selling sales training is an echo chamber. It's difficult because if your sales process isn't perfect, you're judged on the sales process. Whereas like if you're selling a car, 100%. If I'm buying a BMW M5 or something and the salesman messes up the sales process, but I love the car, I buy the car. When you're selling sales training, you mess up the buyer at ease. You don't bring up their concerns first. You don't do a good buyer appraisal, find out what they like about their current, purchase. They judge you for that and they attribute it to your product. So selling sales training is a blessing and a curse. You have to be switched on every day. And if you let things go out in your life and you go into a slump, man, do you go into a slump because you can't sell being great if you're not being great.
Man, you spitting truth there.
Yeah. You know this world 100%. I mean, this is your game. I moved out of that space. I decided to build my own sales company and actually build a trade school of sales. So I go after major sales contracts selling volume products. And then I use those as like a job placement and a practicum so that I can recruit students who want to learn sales, but they do a sales job with me, but they do 90 minutes of training and study a day. And we've grown that business. Last year, we sold $280 million worth of telecom. My cut of that was just shy of $50 million. This year, we'll probably do close to $70 million of my own collected revenue. Like that's my company's commission on the whole deal. And then I also own a home security company in Canada because the crime is a problem up there. We basically
interesting.
I'll tell about. Maybe we talk about that now, or we talk about it off air. But Canada has a really bad home invasion problem, just due to our bail policies and some really stupid things that have happened in Canada recently. So we put blast proofing window film on windows that prevent people from smashing your window. It's invisible, but you could take a baseball bat to your window over and over and over. Eventually the glass breaks, but you can't get through it because it's got this polymer film on it. Yeah, it's like a force field for your windows.
Dope, man.
So yeah.
Well, I thought
So
you guys were so nice up in Canada. You know, you're not breaking in people's house, but I stand corrected.
Canada's there's a veneer there. There's the front, and then there's what's going on behind the closed doors. You know.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll be careful in Canada there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that your companies, congratulations, and all your
Thank you.
companies, and the success that you've had, I think it ties back in some part. I can't speak for you, but from our previous conversation, if you're not doing great at follow up, I can't imagine you doing 70 million or doing, help becoming like one of the top sales training sellers in the North America, or even with your home innovation company. I just don't, I can't see that
Yeah.
you're not going to be successful if you have a lack, an improper follow up system. So let's dive into that real quick. Everyone needs to have a process, but most people don't follow up. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, hopefully most of your listeners have a sales process, right? So they're going into a sales process. They understand you need to put the buyer at ease always
Sure.
before you can even fact find. You can't go in and fact find somebody and ask them what their problem is right off the hop.
What keeps
and
you up at night?
What they're trying to solve. And, there's a much better way of, you want to put the buyer at ease. And then after you put your buyer, and that might be saying something like, listen, my goal here is to give you the information you need to make a decision. I'll leave the decision making up to you. And my policy is if it's not a no-brainer, I don't ask for your business. Okay. Let's just see if we can help you, make a good decision or at least get some good information. Now the customer's like, oh, I'm going to make the decision and this guy's not going to ask for my business unless I think it's a no-brainer. Puts the customer at ease, right?
Sure.
And you say, hey, I'm going to do it in the shortest period of time. If you want more time, you can ask me. My goal is to have this done in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Puts them at ease on the time. Now I can say something like, hey, listen, we know you're going to make a good choice with or without us. So why don't you tell me right now, what do you like about your current provider? Like if I was selling a service, like, what do you like
Sure.
about your current provider? I always start with what they like. If I'm selling a car, what do you like about your current car? What do you like about the current deal you got with your car? The current financing terms, the current deal. What do you like about your current insurance plan? What do you like about your current sales training company? Because it's much easier for them to tell you about what's right about their decisions. They're going to have to get that off before they'll ever tell you what's wrong. That's just the human condition. People don't spend their day being wrong. They spend their time being justified about their past decisions. So just like you have a process for that, put the buyer at ease, start your fact finding on what they like about their past decisions, what they like about their current provider, and then ease into, okay, where's the delta? What are they trying to improve? That's a process that I'm sure most of your listeners are following. And then present. Never present before you do a fact find. You're wasting time. Now, on the follow-up process, what's people's follow-up process? And most of the people in the sales game who are even good closers, good salespeople, it's blank. Or it might be, I do a 2-day check-in, and then I might send an email, and then I'll text them something, and then that's it. And they don't have a structured follow-up process that is as structured and as burned into their approach as their sales process. You see, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because only about 20% or less according to Salesforce.com, I got the stat while working with Grant, less than 20% of your sales are going to be made in those first points of contact. 82% of your sales will be made between the 5th and the 12th point of contact. Okay. And again, these are stats from the space from CRM businesses. So between the 5th and 12th point of contact is where 80% of your sales are going to be made. The question is, how do you get over, first of all, this trepidation or fear of following up? Because when you think about following up 5 times, you're like, shit, man, I'm going to be annoying this guy. I'm going to burn the deal. This guy's going to start ghosting me. He's going to start ignoring my calls. I don't want to seem contrived. We had a good relationship. It went well. And the real answer there is, okay, well, you have to rewind and say, where is this guy in the buying cycle? Most salespeople don't understand that. And we learned that, by the way. So we did $5 million a year selling for Grant Cardone. 95% of that, maybe more, was from a cold call. Ice cold.
That's crazy.
Ice cold call. Our first year, we did 98,000 dials with 4 guys.
Oh my goodness.
98,000 dials. I have my stats here, 2,922 hours of talk time. We did 1,400 appointments. We did 1,023 demos. And then in our first year, we did 2.6 million with 4 guys. That's what was an 8-month year. We started in April, and that was us figuring it out. Okay. Now next year grew. But that's starting with, they don't know who you are. They weren't thinking about buying your product. Okay. So when you want to follow up with somebody, you have to ask yourself, where was this guy in the buying cycle?
Yeah.
Now, everyone wants to pride themselves on, I'm a closer, I always close. But I got to be frank, you should close who can be closed. But you also should be good enough at the game and your sales process and objection handling to recognize who's just not there in the buying cycle yet.
1,000%. I think that gets underrated tremendously. And that should be a stat that's just as praised as much as the ones that you do bring in.
Yeah.
Didn't waste our time on what XYZ.
Yeah, you have to know where you are in the buying cycle. So, if I knock on a door or I talk to somebody cold, or, everyone's at a different place in the business cycle, right?
Sure.
Versus the sales cycle. The sales cycle sometimes, happens earlier, where you get a person into a sales cycle before they were, and part of that sales cycle is making them aware of the problem. Door-to-door people notice this a lot. Cold calling people notice a lot. Outbound sales guys notice this a lot. Is that sometimes the sales process happens before some of the other key aspects, like they trust your brand.
Yeah.
They know who your company is. They might not even be shopping. Sometimes they're shopping a different industry against yours. Like you're selling windows and doors, and they go and spend that money on a home theater system. So they're not even always that sold on the particular field you're in. Some people think they're selling a car. For example, I'm building an engine. I've got a 1968 Chevelle, and I'm putting a big block, aluminum block, big motor in this thing. And I was in the deal, talking about negotiating cylinder heads, what kind of pistons we're going to put in this thing. And I paused that project and I went and bought a Dodge Demon. I got a really good deal, like a bring a trailer deal on a Dodge Demon. So this guy thinks he might have been competing with another engine builder. He was competing with a completely different purchase. Right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't that far into the buying cycle with him.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is I keep seeing this guy's YouTube videos. I keep seeing, promo, and this guy's followed me up on giving me tips. We're building my dad's Chevelle as well. So he sold me some parts for my dad's car, and he's followed me up and given me some advice. And that's what we're going to talk about today. He's given me some advice on my dad's engine. So he stayed in front of me, but not necessarily, he's never asked me. He never follows me up and asks me about this motor. Now he could, it would be a good idea. But by being in front of me, being a piece of counsel, being a piece of advice for me, he's constantly keeping, the sale warm. And people don't have that. They don't have a manual funnel. You have to have a funnel, a manual follow-up funnel for your sales process to kind of check all the boxes that a buyer needs to go through.
Well, we have 4 points, and we're going to tackle each of them probably just like in a few minutes. The first point was there's a 4 points of follow-up to entertain, educate, inform, and service. Can you just take 2 minutes to just tell us about that?
Yeah, so there's 4 types of follow-up, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have information, and this is what most sales guys do. They follow up by sending you the data on the car, or the warranty information, or how our product, all the features and benefits of our product, or they send you a brochure to your phone or to your email, and that's information about your product. Now, that doesn't service the customer unless they're buying from you, unless they're buying your product, right? Yeah. So there's only so much you can do that because we're talking about the sale. We're talking about you buying something from me. So information, though, it is very important. Information would be spec sheets, right? It would be, a product comparisons, your product versus the competitor. It would be Silverado versus F-150. It would be your Dell computer versus a Hewlett-Packard. It would be your windows, your storm windows and doors versus the competitors. It would be your alarm system versus the competitors. But it's information that really is about your product and service. Now, that is important, and that's to check the boxes of the customer being aware of your product's benefits and features and advantages, right?
Sure.
That should happen in a sale. Okay. You want that. If the sales process didn't take care of some of that understanding, that's why you're following up with that. So, it's important to have you want to have an understanding of every buyer needs to go through a set of cognitions or realizations about your product, your company, and you before they'll purchase. Now, some of them have had a bunch of those cognitions already before you talk to them. So they're an easy sale. They've had a cognition that they like your company, that they trust you, and that they like your product. They've had a lot of realizations, right? They trust the company, they trust the product and service, they think they need the product and service. So they've had a lot of those realizations. Then when you hop into the sale, it's an easy sale. But sometimes you're in a sale and they've not had those cognitions yet. They don't really think that your company's better than the competitor. They don't really think that you're a easier to deal with salesperson than the competitor or than another sales guy. So they haven't had those realizations yet. So it's your follow-up process's job, if you don't close the deal, to go and check those boxes one by one in a natural way, right? So information would be about your product, why your product is better, okay? Information might also be about your company. So you want, I'll send a video of my factory tour. I'll do a factory tour or a tour of my operations. Like I'm pitching a giant telecom company right before I hopped on this call. I'm going to send that senior vice president a video tour of our facility as one form of follow-up. Now, if you're selling a product, you send a video tour of your facility and make sure your facility's clean and tidy. And maybe in that video, maybe in that video, you introduce that person to some of the service technicians or the service staff, so they know they have a face to a name of the people they're going to be working with after the sale is made. Yeah. Right? Because salespeople make promises, but they don't necessarily deliver. So, in my follow-up process for the information step, I might send them a video introducing them to the service staff, who's going to be supporting them, who's going to have their back if anything goes wrong. That is one of my steps in my follow-up process, but that falls under information. Another one is education follow-up. So this is a big one, Donald. This is one of the easiest ways that people can make money, okay? Education, and if people are listening to this, they can write it down. Education follow-up is information that doesn't require them to purchase your product to benefit from.
There you go.
Okay? So if I'm selling a car, and I get the customer says, they want to sell their car privately. They don't want to trade it in. They want to go and sell their car privately. Or, I'm probably going to wait till after winter. Or, whatever, basic objections on, purchasing a vehicle would be. There's a lot of them, right? I want to shop around, et cetera, et cetera. So education follow-up is you becoming an advisor. Okay? You becoming an advisor to the customer, even if they're not your customer yet. You start working for them before, and it falls into this philosophy of do more than you're paid for, and soon you're paid more for what you do. So I become an advisor to that guy before he ever buys anything from me. And I have information in writing because people believe what they see. They don't believe what they hear. And I build material that is advice. So I would have a document, a nicely made document that looks very official, that says 8 steps to get the most amount of money when selling your car privately. And because most sales guys are going to fight that. Oh, don't sell it privately. It's going to take you too long, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm going to try and sell the guy on trading his car in. But if not, I'm going to say, great, hey, you know what? I got a document for you. It's actually put together by all of our in-house staff, our actual used car department, on how to get the maximum amount of dollar for when selling your car privately. And it's 8 tips of how to sell your car privately and get the most amount of money. And there's information in there on how to detail it, how to photograph it, what to write in your ad, what not to write in your ad, where to post it, how to price it exactly, etc. Okay? How to showcase the car. And now I'm providing information to this guy who came in to look at a car, who didn't buy a car. And I'm going to send him that information on day 5 of follow-up. Or day 3 of follow-up. I'm not going to ask him about the car. I'm not asking him if he sold it yet. I'm not going to ask him, I can take another $500 off the car. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to give him some educational follow-up that he can benefit from, whether he buys the car from me or not. That's one tip. Okay. Here's another one. This is a big one. Okay. I educate them on how to navigate my industry. It's
so like insider information.
Correct. So I build a document though. Okay. If you look online, these ClickFunnels guys and all this, they do this online, right? They sell an educational piece that's free, a free webinar workshop, and it teaches the customer something right? Provides benefit before the purchase. So what I want to do is I want to say, great, 12 things you need to know when buying a car in 2026. 6 things you need to know when shopping window providers. 14 things the insurance industry doesn't want you to know about when negotiating your policy and premiums. Okay? And I'm going to put that information together, and it's going to bring up all the stereotypes and stigmas of my industry. So if I'm selling telecom, the 5 reasons people hate telecoms and what to do about it. Fine print, bundles, contracts, bad customer service, and hidden fees.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to send that information to my clients, and that might be a day 9 follow-up. Okay. But this is information that is not about my product or service. And what's happening and I would advise at everybody after watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, go and watch the movie Air with about Michael Jordan and Nike.
Yeah.
Because Matt Damon in that movie goes to see Michael Jordan's mom. And he's the underdog. At the time, Nike, or Nike, if you're English, was not the premium basketball shoe. The premium basketball shoe was Adidas and Converse.
Yep.
And Jordan wanted to go with Adidas. So Matt Damon, representing Nike, told the customer, the Jordan family, what they were going to run into while shopping sponsors for shoes. He said, here's what's going to happen at Converse. Here's what's going to happen at Adidas. And here's how to navigate it. Here's the questions you should ask them. Okay? Now, when she goes into those other sales presentations, she has Nike in her ear, and she's measuring everything Adidas tells her. She's measuring everything Converse tells her against what Nike told her.
Yeah.
And Nike told her that selflessly. Now, obviously, Nike's going to benefit. So I educate my buyer on how to navigate my industry, and I tell them the truth. Now, I also make sure that my salespeople are great. We're honest. We have a transparent sales process, and I make sure that I have great service so that I can navigate those customers, because I am going to make the customer more difficult as well. The byproduct here is that customer becomes more difficult for the competitors because they know how to ask the hard questions. Right now I'm being shopped. I run a sales company. So I'm going to educate my buyers on the hard questions that they should ask sales companies about their retention, about how many salespeople they really have versus how many are revolving door. If their salespeople actually make base salary, and why not? Do they not make enough money that you won't invest base salary in them? Are they not profitable enough for you? So you educate the telecom company, that's who I'm selling to right now, on how to ask the hard questions of the sales companies. And it differentiates me. So that's education, okay? So education follow-up as well can also be things like, so it's non-industry specific or non-product specific. It's usually about your industry, how to navigate the industry, do's and don'ts of shopping your product and service, and then free educational webinars or workshops. So you put together a free video that you host on an evergreen on a website, a landing page, and it's educational material. And you can do this for any industry. What do you need to know about buying a car? What do you need to know about the half-ton industry right now? Maybe you work in Texas and you sell a lot of pickup trucks. What do you need to know about the half-ton industry? Well, you probably need to know is that General Motors has a serious problem with its small block Chev right now, the crankshafts and the 6.2. Like whatever it is, I'm a huge car guy. You educate the guy. So that's education. So one, information. That's do a video tour of your facility, do an introduction to the service team and the executive team so that they know who's going to be backing them up. You would send them product spec sheets. You would send them information about your product, competitive analysis against someone else's product. That's information. Education is how to navigate your industry, do's and don'ts, tips and tricks. And then the next one is entertainment. Okay. Entertainment's very important. Now, it would come after a combination of information and education. You would never do entertainment education if you haven't built value in you as a provider. But that might be memes.
Well, why is that? Why is that a no-no?
Because the entertainment aspect is you're trying to build rapport. Right? So I'm going to send a guy a video. I mean, I'll give you an example of this, okay? This is later in the deal. Once I have that guy sold that we're the right, I've got a checklist. Is he sold that we're the right company? And then what goes into that sold that we're the right company is proof of service, executive team, facilities, right? My thoroughness, my earnestness for the deal without being needy. We're the right company. Good. There's a bunch of little sub-checked things that I can send. I can check off all those boxes with a couple of videos and maybe even some mailers. I want to actually mail physical stuff to this guy. I'll tell you about that later. I do not want to rely wholly on digital follow-up. All you salespeople relying fully on emails and text messages and phone calls and social media, you're missing out on easy money, because every advertisement, every follow-up particle you send this guy, if it's in his phone, you're competing with every other thing in his phone. You're competing with 500 unread emails. You're competing with every Instagram notification. You're competing with Twitter. You're competing with YouTube. But if I send him a physical book or a booklet or a demonstration catalog, and I had to spend a little bit of money on that, heaven forbid, that catalog sits on his desk. He doesn't compete with everything in his phone. It's literally sticking him right in the face every single day. So I don't rely on digital follow-up. But let's just say I had a guy, he was early in the sales cycle. He wasn't, we built good rapport. I piqued his interest. I brought him up from maybe not interested or mildly interested to strongly enthusiastic. But he didn't pull the trigger. Maybe there's another influencer in the deal. Maybe he's not the decision maker yet. I don't know. We don't know this yet. We didn't ascertain that in our sales process. It happens. Okay, now I'm going to check my boxes that we're the right company by when I follow up. I'm going to have a follow-up schedule. I'm going to literally write out a follow-up schedule. Okay, follow-up schedule day one, or when he leaves. I'm going to text him within 10 minutes of him leaving. I'm going to send him a video. Thanks for coming in, blah, 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 blah. That's it. I'm going to leave him alone. Day 3, he's going to get a handwritten card or some kind of thank you or something that's physical, maybe with some kind of value, some kind of a pamphlet or something like that. I want him to have something physical in his hands. Yeah. Day 5 might be educational tips, things I know he's going to benefit from. That'll be educational tips. That can be in an email. It can be in a text. Probably better to send it physical, though. You send him a package in like a nice manila envelope. And some sales guys, the amateur ones who don't make any money, are saying, well, that costs money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Don't expect him to spend $50,000 with you if you won't spend $50 on him, by the way. Okay. So I got a follow-up process. Now, let's say I'm like 10 days into the process. I got a good relationship. I've been following up. I send him a bunch of value-add information, and we know, and I got the other influencer on the call. They're down. Now they're talking because this is a B2B sale and they're working on timing. And again, it's not a closed deal. I'm going to send him some entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, B2B, dude, I'll send that guy a pizza to his office, and we'll remove a slice of pizza, and we'll say, only Cardone Training Technologies has the missing piece to your success. And I will literally, and I've done this, by the way. I mean, I can show you. It's literally on the slide. I get a picture of the pizza. Or I'll send him a Jerry Maguire meme where Jerry Maguire's on the phone saying, show me the money. And I'll say, don't make me go Jerry Maguire on you guys. Okay? Or I'll send them a Rubik's Cube. And it says, sales shouldn't be this complicated. Or insurance shouldn't be this complicated. Or I'll send him a lottery ticket and say, hey, if this lottery ticket doesn't win you $1 million, don't worry. Our product's going to make you $1 million in profit this year alone. I'm going to have fun with it. I might Photoshop his picture onto some kind of meme for fun. But you see how you can't do that. You can't build rapport until you have credibility. Yeah. Any salesman who tries to build rapport before they have credibility, it's the wrong step. Think about it this. If you talk to somebody and you don't trust them and they're trying to build rapport with you, you're in your head thinking about what they're saying. But when do I trust this guy? This guy's kind of cheesy. He's. But once you trust somebody and you know they're legit, you relax.
Yeah. At that point, it's no big deal.
Okay. Yeah. So that's entertainment. Okay. So we've got education, information, stuff on your product and service in your company, education, how to navigate the industry, tips and tricks, advice for them, regardless if they buy from you or not. And then you've got entertainment and then service. Have some free services or lower dollar services. You're going and pitching an $80,000 product, an $80,000 service. Do you maybe have a $4,000 service or a $9,000 service, a lost leader or something where you just break even where
Yeah.
you can demonstrate your competence, you can demonstrate your service to this guy, or maybe you can do something for free, a webinar, a workshop, something for this guy. Hell, service might even be if you're a dealership, right? Give this guy a reason to come back to your store. Give him something for an oil change. Give him something for a detailing at your shop. You would use those on the buyers. Notice how service is at the end, and it's between entertainment and the other ones. I don't want to start giving free services out to a bunch of buyers I don't have deep into that sales process.
Exactly.
It's the follow-up process. So that's why I said service and entertainment are at the end. Okay? Now, I'm servicing the guy when I give him free education. So that is service when I give him that education stuff, but it costs me nothing. It costs me a printout. It costs me, I buy 50 of these little booklets at the beginning of my month, and I'm going to go through them. It's part of my cost of acquisition as a salesperson. But once I'm doing service, man, I might give somebody a free workshop. I might give somebody a free detailing. I might give somebody this because there might be some trepidation. You don't know what it is. They might have been burned in the past. They might have had a bad experience. You might remind them of a past sales guy who was a manipulator, right? You might remind them of Jordan Belfort, one of the guys who's a big con artist who manipulates people for a living, whatever. But this is the importance of having a follow-up process. Okay. Yeah. So, information, education, entertainment, and service.
Corey, absolutely amazing. I love the 4 points that you highlighted there, and the entertainment part makes sense the way you have it, and the service as well, where you're not giving stuff away from the beginning. And I think this just allows for many of us as sales professionals to get a better understanding. The follow up isn't just sending a dumb email saying just following up. There's more to that.
If there's just checking in. Just checking in, Donald.
Stop touching my base, man.
Yeah. Hey, did you talk to the CFO yet?
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, did you get your tax return yet? Oh, dude, I know, right?
Yeah. If there's one major takeaway you would like a sales leader listening to this episode or a sales rep to walk away with, what's that one major piece of advice, Corey?
Be willing to invest in the future. Real players, like how does a building get built? Like behind me right now, there's a building. I just watched this whole building. They just did it's one of those historic buildings.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. It's a telephone company from our telephone business from like the 1900s. Okay. Someone bought that building. It was dilapidated. It did not look like that. Okay. So someone invested money. Somebody tore that thing, gutted it inside, stripped the face. Were they making money during that whole time? No, they were losing money. They put money into it. They paid interest on they didn't buy it cash. I can tell you that. Okay. Then they poured money into the GCs and the contractors. They lost money for a period of time.
Yes.
And now they're recouping the money because they're thinking 10 years at a time.
Yeah.
Right. And this whole area is appreciating right now. Okay. Even though Florida itself is kind of coming down, this particular downtown area is actually on the up. So it's interesting, right? You have to think. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but no one wants to do the work. And you have to be understanding that your efforts and your energies have to invest. You have to be willing to close the immediate deals today. So what I'm giving you advice on is not an excuse not to close deals today. If you can close the deal, close the deal. Close the deal, finish the cycle. The faster you close the deal, the faster you service the customer, the better. But being able to recognize that there's another probably 30% of those buyers that will close, but it's going to be a month from now. And then probably another 30 you're missing out on that is probably going to be 3 months from now. So you have to be willing to invest time and energy. Time is money. People say this all the time. So if you don't have money as a sales rep to invest in your business, you do have time and energy, an infinite amount of energy, and you have a lot of time. So I'm willing to invest in deals 3 months from now.
Yeah.
And you know what? I thank myself. I'm doing something today that my future self will be thankful for. That's my mentality, right? Do something today that your future self will be thankful for. Follow up with that customer. Do something nice for him, but non-needy. Just keep making contributions to your prospect base.
Yeah.
Over time, you're going to learn how to capitalize because sales guys they're afraid to do this because they don't know how to capitalize. They don't know how to ask for the sale. They don't know how to, because there is a way, right? At some point, you're going to have to ask for the sale. You're going to have that. We can talk about that on the next one of these that we do.
Sure.
Which is you actually have to do a call and do a survey of like, hey, great, what did I miss? It's called an apology follow-up. Hey, I just want to apologize. Took you through the sales process, but obviously I didn't help you find a solution. And I just wanted to know, did I make an assumption? Did I have you on the wrong product? And I wanted to know, basically, why haven't you bought yet?
Yeah.
But I had to earn that phone call. Now, sales guys don't know how to have those hard conversations in an articulate way. So they don't do any of the other stuff because they feel like they're just going to be doing goodwill. Yeah. And here's what I'm going to tell you. The goodwill will pay off regardless if you're a killer on capitalizing on it yet. You should at least start doing the goodwill stuff, the good follow-up, providing education, providing service, providing entertainment for your prospects, because the goodwill will pay off, because at least you'll start building a good brand. And then while you're doing that, you be training on a program on how to capitalize on that, and it will pay off. So I say do something today that your future self will thank you for. Be willing to invest in the future of your prospects. Be willing to get paid 3 months from now. I'm doing a deal right now with this telecom company. Probably not going to pay me till next year. Yeah. But that's how wealthy, or I'm not wealthy. I would say I'm what is it, rich? Like, I want to be wealthy. Wealthy people are willing to invest long in the future. They put money into deals that aren't going to pay them for a decade. That's how I'm trying to do. I'm trying to start thinking with future. So salespeople should be thinking 3 to 6 months in the future at a minimum at all times. Not just this month.
Love it, man. Well, if folks want to get in touch with you, Corey, what's the best way for them to do so?
You can follow me on Instagram as Corrie George Official. And you can also check out, my companies are CanadaFirst.com. That's my home security company. And I own another company that's a trade school for sales. That's YESA, YESA. If you're a young salesperson looking for a position where you can get educated and go through a curriculum that we built here and learn all this stuff and have a sales job, you can apply YESA.ca. It's a Canadian website right now, but we're in the US. YESA.ca. You can check that out. And there's like an apply page that they can go to.
Love it, man. Well, Corey, thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show today. Appreciate your insight, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Donald. Thank you.
Hey, that was Corrie George. I am telling you, that was an amazing episode. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and connect with Corey. Tell him you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. You can follow him on Instagram, as well as you can find his companies and details in the show notes. I love the outline that he shared. I love the process of making sure you're structured with your follow-up and not making it this, the lame follow-ups, just following up or, touching base, giving them something of worth, that information, and then making sure you educate them. What can I give them about the industry they may not necessarily know? And then obviously you got more things that you can do when it comes to your entertainment and the service. Check it out, apply these principles, and let Corey and myself know how you like it. If you are loving the podcast, leave us a rating and review. I truly appreciate that. And if you're trying to improve your LinkedIn game, make sure to connect with us. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/LinkedIn. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out and do big things. See you on the next one.